Hi guys. So do you guys ever wonder why things are the way they are today? Do you guys ever wonder if things could have been different, today from the past? And do you guys really ever wonder why societies are the way they are and why our society is the way it is today? Well, these are things we discuss in history, and while studying history, we contemplate all the time and we learn different things from all the time. So, this is why we should study history, and this is why I believe history is probably the most important subject, if not, one of the most. So, history teaches many things, but I'm just going to cover just three today. So, history teaches us critical thinking, it teaches us understanding for the past, and it teaches us why things are the way they are. So, first, critical thinking. It teaches us many critical thinking skills. If you dive deeper into some of these subjects, and in history, there's many subject matter to cover. I mean, it's probably around 10,000 years of history, so that's all got to be covered. So, I mean, you have a lot to contemplate while learning more about that. So, critical thinking, you need to think critically about some of these sources and where you get your information from. You start learning more about first-hand sources, like primary sources or secondary sources, and learning more on how to trust the reliability of these sources. And it also teaches you, how you could learn from these sources and how to build your understanding of the story a lot better. And it teaches you civil discourse between each other. I mean, while contemplating many of these events that we learn about, you're going to have people that disagree with you of why or why not they should have done this type, that type of thing. It teaches you civil discourse because you're going to have a lot of people that disagree with you. So you're going to have some of those discussions, and you're going to be able to learn from that. So another thing is that you're going to have an understanding for the past. So another thing that history teaches you is to have understanding, and to have that, empathy, that sort of empathy for the past. Because, people may be a lot different back then, but the times were different. Of course, there's going to be kids now that are growing up in an age where smartphones and laptops and all these technologies where you can share information just at the click of a button, they might not understand as well as to why people didn't communicate as fast as we do now. And, obviously, they didn't have those things back then. They didn't have the technology, and they didn't have, the understanding of how to do things. So, of course, letters are going to be months apart or weeks apart because they can't, be that fast. So, and then another thing that we learn from history is why things are the way they are today, and how we could change the future with the things that we do today. We see these things now, like many of the events that we have today, and we're like, oh boy, this we've seen this story before. It's because we learned history and we know what happens or what could happen in the future, so we can, make better decisions. It's basically your whole existence is evolving the way you think in order to survive. And that's honestly what happens throughout history because it's a study of people. It's a study of our existence pretty much. So you're going to understand a lot more of why we get to this point and why those things were bad or good and how we can change it for the future. So, I talked about how history teaches us critical thinking, understanding for the past, not just of the past, but for the past, and why things are the way they are today and how we can change the future. So, one thing I recommend you guys is just to learn more history. It can be pretty, overwhelming with dates and the facts and all of these things with history, but just try to learn the story. because a lot of these lessons that we learn from history are essential to all of our lives. And honestly, I'd rather learn these lessons through history than learn them the hard way just in my own life. So, just saying. But thank you guys for watching, and I really appreciate you guys just watching my videos. So, thanks, guys.